Folks, this is the Chad Factor. It's midnight here in Georgia, 12:23 a.m. And it's been a long time since I've seen all of you here, and I'm glad that you're with me. But I want to show something to you that made me really, really think about certain things. And this was a case. This case I'm talking about now is Black History Month. But I looked at some documentaries about Racy Taylor, who was a black woman who was raped in Alabama, and the killers were never brought to justice. Now, some of them died, but they never were prosecuted. But there was a case in 1959 in Tallahassee, Florida, that surprised me, and I'm going to show you why. Let me get a okay. That was Atheism on Stop. I usually watch his videos, but it says here, this is from the woman, one of the women that was in the video, in the video, in the documentary about Racy Taylor, Danielle McGrew. She's a white feminist liberal woman, but this is a case on her website. It says landmark 1959 rape case in Tallahassee, Florida was central to civil rights movement. So it says here, and this was passed, and this was shown in March 1st, 2018. I just heard about this last year. And it says in May of 1959, four white men kidnapped and raped an African American college student, I prefer the term black American, in Tallahassee, Florida, when her classmates of Florida A&M found out about what happened. They mobilized and demanded justice. Their public protests helped force the local prosecutor to charge the assailants with rape and bring them to trial. Standing before a segregated Jim Crow courtroom in Tallahassee, the victim's quiet but definitive testimony helped convince an all-white, all-male jurors to deliver a guilty verdict. And the judge sentenced them to, to life in prison, a first for the South. The Tallahassee verdict was a major break from the past, from slavery through the bulk of the 20th century. White men assaulted and raped black women with impunity. The conviction life sentence sent a powerful message for the first time since Reconstruction. Black women can imagine state power being used to protect and hold white men accountable for their actions. The verdict also drew attention to Florida's history of unequal sentencing in rape cases. At the time, there were many black men on death row for attempted rape or even looking at a white woman the wrong way. This case helped the NAACP legal defense team focus on equal sentencing, an issue that continues to matter today. Many of the FAMU students who demanded justice for the victim in Tallahassee went on to participate in the sit-ins in the spring of 1960 and helped lead the Jail No Bail movement. And the Tallahassee case helped lead the convictions elsewhere that summer, as well as throughout the 60s and 70s. And if you want to read more about this case, At the Dark End of the Street, Black Women, Rape, and Resistance, A New History of the Civil Rights Movement from Rosa Parks to the Rise of Black Power. So, what this entails is that we don't learn everything we need to know about history. This was 4 years after Emmett Till. This was 4 years before the 1963 church bombing. This was 6 years before 1965 murder of Violeta Lorazzo, a white woman killed. This is all before. This is before Charles Evers got killed, and this is after Emmett Till got killed. And this happened in Florida. And these four white men, convicted by an all-white male jury, convicted them and sentenced them to life in prison. Why don't we hear these stories? Why don't we hear that there is some good history? And again, we need to know about Rosewood. We need to know about Black Wall Street. We need to know about Emmett Till. We need to know about the crimes and things committed in the South as well as the North. You know, Jim Crow, whether it's legal Jim Crow or choice Jim Crow, which is, segregation by choice, but they pretty much, nudge you over there back then. But I'm saying that we need to know more about this history and about how things were back then, and look at all stories and parameters of it. And let me see if I can get this. Okay, Let me see if I can get this woman's name. But the assailants were that rate were David Beagles, Ollie Stoudemire, Ted Colesworth, Patrick Scarsborough. That was the four. And let me see if I can get the name of the of the um, of the rape victim. Okay. Okay, her name was Betty Jane Owens. I mean, they haven't made any movies about this case. They haven't made movies because they seem to want to talk about all the ills and problems of that era, but don't want to talk about were the good and positive things that happened. How people did get some sort of justice. How people some people did. This happened in Florida during Jim Crow. Why do you think no one's ever talked about that? Because they want to perpetuate the narrative that nothing good happened, that everything black people didn't do anything back then, there was no justice, you couldn't do anything, and we got everything after 1964, 1965. That's the narrative people want you to know, and don't want you to know anything else. But it just surprises me how 4 years after Emmett Till died and they got away with it, and I'm happy that this woman got justice, well deserved justice, but that this all happened during that time period. So this is a very unique case. This is a very amazing case, and I'm very surprised about this. So, it's very surprising that this did happen. I'll link you the article in the description. I just wanted to make a quick video about this because this actually blew my mind. So go look at it. Look at some of the other articles she has on there. This is the Chad Factor out. Thank you for tuning in.